might be wondering to yourself, what does that mean? What does that mean? Ah, interesting. On Wednesday nights here at the Hideout, it is usually traditional that it's a movie night where they show traditional or vintage films. Well, tonight you're getting something extra. Something brought to you by the wonders of science. Tonight you're getting Captured Aural Phantasy and movies. Not only are you going to be able to see wonderful films that will enrich your mind, but also wonderful performances that will tickle your funny. It's going to be a 2-hour show. I hope you can stay. And without further ado, we will start with our first set of film.
Experience teaches. If so, how do these lessons affect the brain? Its size, shape, and chemistry.
How is such a three-dimensional image obtained? A laser light, which is a single frequency beam of light, illuminates the object. In this case, a Lincoln statue. The laser beam is split and made to spread out. One portion of the beam is directed at the object and reflected by it onto a photographic plate. The other portion of the beam, reflected by a mirror, is directly recorded on the plate, together with the light reflected from the object. After the photographic plate has been developed, no intelligible image is visible, just an overall smudge, which, however, represents the three-dimensional image in an encoded form. When another laser beam is allowed to pass through this seemingly transparent plate, now called a hologram, it decodes the hologram and the three-dimensional image of the Lincoln statue appears as out of thin air. So realistic that the viewer is tempted to touch it.
We have just seen the method of three-dimensional imaging, which is the example by which holography is most widely known. However, perhaps the most important applications of holography are those in the area of science.
Among the scientific applications, there is one which has recently taken on particularly great importance. It is the application of holography used as an optical computing tool to sharpen up electron micrographs of biological specimens, even those taken with the most powerful electron microscopes in existence. The blurred original is placed into an optical system, and using the method of holography, a sharpened reproduction can be extracted from the blurred original.
Here we have two greatly enlarged electron micrographs of a virus. This one here represents what can be obtained with the most powerful electron microscope in existence. Unfortunately, this electron micrograph just falls short of revealing the detail which is required, for example, in establishing possible links between viruses and some forms of cancer.
Here we see an interior section of the living heart actually functioning as revealed by an ultrasonic imaging method developed by Professor Kikuchi in Japan. However, this image lacks good resolution and meaningful rendition of the soft tissue. Also, this method requires several hours to transpose the sound waves onto film and then to develop the film.
Now, wouldn't it be nice if, by using the principle of holography, we could take such a slice instantaneously?
Dr. Dennis Gabor, who in 1971 was awarded the Nobel Prize for discovering three-dimensional holography, discusses sonoradiography, process that uses sound waves to produce the original image.
Here's the memory, and here's the sound source, which emits a short, sharp pulse, which spreads out in a spherical wave and goes...
Normally, in holography, a laser light produces a hologram, and another laser light reproduces it. However, in sonoradiography, the first laser is replaced by a sound generator.
Now this is where a new device can help, which has been invented and developed by Dr. William Glenn of CBS Laboratories. It's called the Lumatron.
The Lumatron reconstructs the information that comes to it from an ultrasonic scanner. The signal that is obtained from the ultrasonic scanner is very much like a TV signal. When this pattern or hologram is scanned by a laser, the real image can be recognized. A human skull, for instance, inscribed onto a hologram and revealed by a laser light. An important scientific breakthrough. A breakthrough made possible by combining the research efforts of the academic community and private industry. Dr. Peter Goldmark reflects on how cooperative, basic research benefits today's complex society.
As we have seen, the combination or interaction between academic research and industry in the exploitation of new ideas is an excellent way of making maximum use of the facilities and the manpower resources involved in such a project, and to make sure that the fundamental research is best utilized.
The house has 1,500 square feet. It's got a living room, a dining room, a kitchen, 3 bedrooms, and 2 bathrooms. On the top left corner of the garage, we have a photovoltaic cell. This powers the storage batteries for the emergency lighting system. Even the front door of the tech house is energy conservative. It's made of steel, and it has 1.5 inches of insulation inside it. If we should have a power failure, this light will come on automatically. Our fireplace is more efficient than a conventional fireplace. It has ducts which bring in cold air from the outside for combustion. It also has ducts which bring in cold air from the floor, circulate that air around the firebox, and blow out the warmed air from the top. Just like many other American homes, there's no car in the garage of the tech house. Instead, we have computers. These computers are monitoring everything that goes on in this house.
Solid materials cannot contain these high-temperature plasmas, and so we turn to the use of magnetic fields to make our fusion plasma containers. The problem is finding a bottle shape that will effectively hold the plasma. Several different shapes have been tried. In some, the magnetic fields have been formed by coils around the plasma, and in others, by current flowing in the plasma itself.
At Princeton, we've been studying donut-shaped magnetic bottles. The point about the shape is that we don't want plasma leaking out the ends of the magnetic bottle, and a donut doesn't have any ends. This particular device is the ST tokamak. In the tokamak, the plasma donut is heated by passing a very strong electric current around it. Recently, we have developed a more advanced form of the same machine where the hot tokamak plasma donut is squeezed with a pulsed magnetic field. This approach seems to be working extremely well. The main effort at present is to get the plasma temperature up a bit further and to progress to larger and larger experiments approaching the size of a realistic power-producing commercial fusion reactor.
Fusion reactor power plants, as they are envisioned today, would be safe and environmentally attractive. Features which would permit their being located in heavily populated urban areas where the need for electrical power is the greatest.
There are other promising areas of research. We may be able to use laser beams to trigger the fusion reaction without the use of magnetic fields. We may be able to directly convert plasma energy into electrical energy, but there is much to be learned before we can successfully develop these concepts. We are now in a relatively early phase of a very difficult scientific endeavor, a truly international effort with scientists of different countries sharing their progress with one another. Recent accomplishments make us optimistic that fusion will one day be possible on a commercial basis. In the opinion of many physicists, the question is no longer if, but when. We believe it can be achieved before the turn of the century.
This, then, is the exciting goal of all those who are seeking to bottle the sun.
Into orbit around the Earth. The booster is an Atlas missile. The astronaut's orbital vehicle is produced by McDonnell Aircraft of St. Louis. The project is under the overall direction of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Now the countdown nears completion. The huge gantry moves back from the rocket. Condition green. Preparations on the pad are proceeding in good order. Final checks are made in the blockhouse. The Atlas is fueled and ready. All its complex circuits and systems have been checked and rechecked. Nothing must go wrong on this launch. In the capsule, 90 feet above the pad, the astronaut is ready. Less than 4 minutes remain before takeoff. Condition yellow, stand by to clear the pad. Final moments on the pad are observed from the blockhouse. Condition red, clear the pad. 0 hour approaches. All is in readiness. Communication.
All is in readiness.
Only green. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Tracking units lock on as the Atlas rises from the pad. The Atlas is moving fast now through the thin upper cloud layers. All control is automatic during boost phase. The astronaut monitors instruments. The Atlas enters the outer fringes of atmosphere, still in vertical flight. All 3 motors still firing. Flight progress is monitored closely. Now the Atlas tilts 22 degrees toward the horizontal course. The escape tower is still in position, ready to pull the orbital vehicle free of the booster if an emergency arises and the flight must be aborted. However, the flight is going well. The Atlas tips further toward the horizontal. Now the main stage engines are no longer needed. They are shut down and jettisoned to reduce weight. The sustainer engine carries on, pushing the capsule toward its orbital velocity of 18,000 miles an hour.
Oh my God!
There is no further need for the tower, since the capsule can now escape with its own rockets if necessary. The tower is jettisoned.
Cool.
The Atlas, now in horizontal flight, has attained orbital speed. It is time for the capsule to proceed on its own. The clamp ring holding the capsule to the booster blows apart. 3 small rockets kick the capsule free from the booster.
Yeah.
The astronaut is in orbit.
No way. Open the pod bay doors, Hal. That never happened. That never happened.
The astronaut's first task is to turn the capsule end for end, so that it travels with the retro rockets and heat shield facing forward. Now, this is accomplished by small jets of high-pressure steam, controlled either by the astronaut himself or by an automatic control system. Next, the ground tracking stations must determine whether the orbital path is satisfactory. It should have a high point of about 120 miles. While this is being done, the astronaut astronaut guides the capsule into the proper position for firing retro rockets. In this position, he is ready to re-enter the atmosphere at once if the orbit is not satisfactory. But word comes from the ground that all is well. The orbit is good. So the astronaut returns his spacecraft to its normal attitude for orbiting. Now there is time for a look at the Earth so far below. The astronaut extends the periscope from the bottom of the capsule. In the view lens, the oceans and mountains pass in procession below. Landmarks, which reassure him of his position.
Oh my God, we live on Mars!
Small residual momentums cause the capsule to drift. To correct drift in pitch and yaw, the astronaut uses the same jets as before. Other jets on the bow of the capsule are used to correct drift in roll. All these conditions can be made manually by the astronaut himself or by the automatic system. And so the great flight proceeds. Like mariners of ancient times and modern times too, the astronaut sails along a great circle. But there are many differences. The Mercury spacecraft sails over the oceans and continents alike, and at a fantastic speed which man has never before even approached. Around the globe once every 90 minutes. The astronaut's course takes him eastward from Cape Canaveral. An hour and a half later, his great circle brings him around the globe toward his starting point. 3 times around, and he will slow down, re-enter the atmosphere, and land in the ocean at a prearranged spot somewhere down the Atlantic Missile Range. Scott is now approaching the most critical phase of his voyage.
First, he will take the capsule from the upper orbit. This will also be done